Welcome, fellow Dean and Sam girls, and welcome to episode 2, that's 4, of my Winchester vlog series, The Family Business, where I'm going to be talking about season 1, episode 2, Wendigo, one of my favorites. Don't mind me if I start kind of like singing along with the background a little bit every once in a while, but I can't live without MCR in the background right now. So, Wendigo. I don't know why it is, but somehow I always end up watching this episode like in the middle of the night when I'm the only one awake and it's freaking dark, and it just creeps me out. Before I start, just let me say, sorry I'm like kind of a little covered up here tonight because it's kind of cold and it's crazy windy outside and it's freezing in here. So yeah, I have my hood on. And don't mind me if I start kind of like singing along with the background a little bit every once in a while, but I can't live without MCR in the background right now. So, Wendigo. I don't know why it is, but somehow I always end up watching this episode like in the middle of the night when I'm the only one awake and it's freaking dark, and it just creeps me out. Like, this is, like I said last time, season 1, I still think season 1 is like overall the scariest season of the series, and I think Wendigo is definitely one of the scariest episodes. It's just there's a lot of aspects about it that are like really terrifying, despite like the actual monster that they're hunting, a Wendigo, which like not only is creepy looking and scary, well, let's say a little bit more creepy, like more like scary as shit looking, but like some of like I mean Jesus, okay, come on, he runs like lightning speed fast. He mimics human voices, like that part in the middle of the episode where he's like trying to draw them out of the, what was it, Anasazi symbols that they were using for protection. Oh, that part like always gives me chills. It's gross. But I like some of the other things that they did with it, that we in fact don't really see the Wendigo like fully until the very end of the episode, which makes it even scarier. And then where they arrive at a Blackwater Ridge, and Dean is like, you hear that? And Sam's like, yeah, nothing. That's never a good sign. And so, yeah, I love how scary this episode is. For season 1, we get right into the recap, the very first recap we'll ever see, and we all us Supernatural fans know that Supernatural recaps are like the best ever in television. And although the season 1 recaps are obviously different than the rest of the series, because it was in season 2 they started doing the now, or the then and the now things, which I really love, because they recap whatever you need to previously have known specifically for that episode, and that's something that a lot of series don't actually do. We also get to see what will become the typical Monster of the Week teaser, at least for the first 3 seasons, and some in the last 3 seasons, where we get to see the monster, demon, ghost, whatever it is that Sam and Dean will be hunting this week, do its thing, and then we see the title card, and then we go into Sam and Dean, wherever they're at, whatever they're doing at the time. And I love that. A lot of people have, I think, gotten tired of that over 6 seasons, but, I love it. It's just a kind of constant thing that we can expect, and it's almost like a comfort zone, because when you take us out of that comfort zone and the episode becomes something else, we're like, oh crap, what's going on? So, I kind of instantly get almost terrified when it's not that, because I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen this week. What are they doing to me? But I love that. This is also the first episode, which is the second episode of the series, that we get introduced to Sam's nightmares. And obviously he's having nightmares about Jess. I mean, who wouldn't? When he's basically blaming himself. And it I don't want to say it's his fault, because it's really not. But, according according to himself, it is his fault. And so obviously he's going to have nightmares about it then. But what we don't know about those nightmares is that they're not typical nightmares, and we're just being hinted at the fact that they're not. One of the things, I'm sorry, this is the perfect song to play in the background as I talk about this episode. One other thing I adore about Supernatural, other than the great homages that it does, and was another one this episode. They do an homage to Hansel and Gretel when Dean leaves a trail of M&Ms. I love that. But something else that I love for this series is that they have so many sci-fi, fantasy, horror legends and guest stars, current stars, past stars on this show all the time. And it all began in season 1. And it started with this episode. I love watching Wendigo because I love Keith Callum-Rennie, which, of course, he is from Battlestar Galactica. He played Leoben. He is my favorite Cylon. I love Sharon, but she doesn't really count as a Cylon to me eventually. Like, not Boomer Sharon, but Athena Sharon, but that's a different story. He plays an asshole in this episode, but I still love him, and I still love seeing him. And there's actually another Battlestar co-star in this episode who plays, the old guy that they go visit. That was the boy that got attacked by the Wendigo, who has the, crazy scratches right here. He plays Doc Cottle in BSG, so that was cool too. Alright, well, that's all I pretty much have to say about Wendigo. I'll just end it with what I'll be ending every episode with, or every vlog with, I mean. My favorite quote from this episode is still one of everyone's, of the whole series, all the fans' favorite quotes. Saving people, hunting things, the family business. That's also my favorite scene of this episode, where they're sitting there by the fire, and, Dean's holding his dad's journal and everything. There's a lot of great things. I mean, the dialogue in that scene, the meaning of that scene, meaning behind that scene, we finally get to really see Sam's feelings and what's going on. And the lighting, once again, the lighting and the silhouettes of that scene are just gorgeous. Let's see, favorite Dean moment. It's not much of a moment, but I love the part when they're in the mine and they kind of split up. And Dean goes to chase the Wendigo, and he's, calling out to him, and he's just like, "That tastes good." It gets me every time. My favorite Sam moment. I love in this episode that we start to see this. There's one thing about in this episode that we see about Sam from the very beginning that we kind of saw in episode 1, but it was really, really established in this episode, which is Smart Sam. He's the one that does all the research. He's the one that comes up with I don't want to say comes up with all the ideas, but when it comes to mythology and what monsters are what and what not, he's the smart end, the researched end, the mythological end part of the relationship. And scariest moment, Sam versus the Wendigo when they're in the mine, and it's the first time we get to see the Wendigo all together, and he roars, growls, roars, whatever at Sam. It's creepy, and his jaw comes all the way down here. It's creepy. Great. But yeah, love this episode.